Somehow it's already mid March, and this is a time of year that I would consider crucial to your training cycle as we get into those summer and fall races. So, if you have your eye on a race this year, especially if it's coming up in the summer or the fall, you're going to want to watch this video. Hi, I'm Catherine. I'm the personal trainer and running coach at Kathletics. Here at Kathletics, we're all about meeting you where you are in your fitness so you can approach hybrid training in a sustainable way. So, why, out of all the months in the year, do I find that March is the most crucial? Well, when you look at the grand scheme of things, so say you have a race between the months of June and October, there's likely going to be a time, or hopefully there's a time, where you're going to take a period to rest, recover, get into some sort of base building, strength training focused on building muscle, these types of seasons that we want to have within our entire year of a training cycle. So, assuming that you had a race last year and or maybe an event of sorts and it was also within that summer and fall time frame, this would place you more in the winter time to have that off season building. So again, focusing on the aerobic base as well as building up muscle and or strength. Now, in my opinion, March is that turning point where you start to shift from maybe that hypertrophy phase or that base building phase that we've been working on for 3 to 6 months, and we start to get more focused on your goal for summer and fall. So, this is a very important month because we need that transition in order to have that adaptation. So, depending on where you are in that training cycle, March is the time where you're either going to be shifting from that hypertrophy to strength or you're going to be switching from strength to power. And both of those are very important because even if you are doing just like a short strength phase before you go into more power as you prepare for your race, we still need to have those transitions and adaptations in order to feel prepared and feel strong, move that strength into power, move that power into endurance for your race. March is also really important because if you didn't think of a race or you were kind of toying with the idea of doing a race or an event this year, but maybe you didn't find something yet in January, or maybe you weren't really thinking about it at the end of the year last year, March is kind of that turning point where you're like, okay, I have 3 to 6 months that I need to prepare for my event. And 3 to 6 months is plenty of time depending on what your fitness level is. I would go check out one of my previous videos that shares how long you should be training before you get into a 5K, 10K, half marathon on marathon. I'll leave that link to the video in the description below. But March gives you enough time for you to really focus in on your race and decide how much time you need in order to be prepared for that time frame of June to October or May to October, or whatever the case may be. March is also the time that maybe if you were primarily training indoors due to where you live, if it was not quite as possible to get outside and train there, things start to open up a little bit in March. And depending on where you are in the world, especially here in Colorado, it's been very dry this past season and honestly has been very manageable to get to a trail weekly if that's something that you're into. But I understand that not everybody lives in Colorado and not everybody has access to safe and temperate conditions that allow you to train outside year round. So if you are somebody that has been hitting the treadmill, hitting an indoor track throughout the winter, March is when you can start dabbling back into those outdoor pavement, outdoor trail runs, and ultimately get yourself set up for when you need to be doing some heat training this summer. So March really is that pivotal point where we need to be thinking about these factors of duration we need to be training for ahead of a race, climate, and how your strength training fits into your cardiovascular training cycle. If you're not really sure where to start with training for your upcoming race, I do recommend clicking the link in the description below to join one of our hybrid training programs, because not only do we include our strength training, we also include cardiovascular training, so specifically for running and hiking, but in this instance here, we provide the running programs from 5K all the way up to a 50K included in those programs. So you're not going to want to miss that, especially if you have some big goals for this year. But please let me know if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Otherwise, be sure to like, subscribe, and then we'll see you in the next one.